Hello, mateys. I'm Captain Stoner Joe, and I do ghost tours in the ghost town of Savannah. What you see behind me is 432 Abercorn, the Benjamin Wilson house, the subject of many legends and rumors. Benjamin Wilson was a bigot, and he wouldn't let his youngest daughter play with the children of the school next door in the early 1900s. And she would play with them anyway, kids of lower class that he didn't deem worthy for his children. She kept doing it, so he decided that her punishment would be that he would tie her to a chair and make her watch the children play in the square out front for 3 days. And each day when he'd come home from work at the cotton exchange, he would untie her, feed her dinner, and send her straight to bed. Well, on the third day, a neighbor walked by and noticed that the girl looked very pale and didn't seem to be breathing. It was a very hot day. She demanded that the servants let her in, and she checked on the little girl, and sure enough, she died of heat exposure. Now, in those days, things like this weren't even reported very much when a children died at a young age under their parents' care, and it was kind of covered up by the community, and Benjamin Wilson went on living there until they say he committed suicide of loneliness in his golden years. The story goes cold about the Benjamin Wilson house until the 1940s, when there's a report of a triple homicide there when a dentist came home to a slumber party his daughters were having with their cousins and found their two daughters and one of the cousins dead. Only the youngest child was found alive, and she was found hiding up in the closet on the third floor of this place. And she couldn't remember a thing that happened. There are many rumors after that. In the 1970s, it was investigated by a Native American medium who didn't believe in ghosts. And after he went in just to the front areas of this place, he left Savannah and later read in his sixth book that he now believed in ghosts and had felt their presence in this house. In the 80s, it was rented out to SCAD students, and some of them did paranormal films in their film projects that you can still find on YouTube to this day. But it switched hands in the 1990s, and a woman from New York inherited it, and it became vacant after every lease expired. And they say the woman from New York never visited the house. She did have a caretaker who came by every once in a while in winter to drip the faucets and cut the grass sometimes in the summer when a note got posted on the door, basically. But the place fell into ruin, and you can see it's in shambles right now when this picture was taken. And until about 2017, this place was vacant. And all during that time, the ghost tours were the only ones who would visit it. And people saw many strange apparitions, especially up on the third floor windows. And a strange phenomenon that's repeated, you can find it on reviews from TripAdvisor to Yelp, to even things that were earlier than that, where people would take a picture or try to take a picture of this place, and their camera wouldn't work. Or their camera would break and stop working until days after they'd left Savannah. Well, now that the place has changed hands again, it's been renovated and it looks a lot nicer than what you see behind it. There are people living in there now. And we finally found who that woman from New York was who was letting it decay. If you look at an old Savannah news article clip that can be found on the internet, One year, Savannah Morning News supposedly contacted her and asked her for a kind of Halloween roundup of haunted house tales. Why she didn't sell the place. She'd been offered upwards of $1.5 million for it at that time, and she hadn't sold it. Why? And why did she never visit Savannah? There were other questions, but she basically told them that she would never pass that curse onto another living being. And they also interviewed the realtor who showed her the place when they inherited it. And the story goes that the woman was picked up at the airport by the realtor and brought her to the place, showed her around. She looked at everything on the first and second floors and said, "I need to go up to the third floor alone." She was up there only a few minutes before she came back down in a hurry with tears in her eyes and a handkerchief drying her face. And she said, "I need to go to the airport right now." She didn't even stay the night. She flew back to New York, never came back to Savannah again. And now that all of this is over and it's into new hands, it was inherited after she died. We can tell the whole story. The woman who inherited it was the little girl who was found up in that closet, who blacked out and couldn't remember anything at the time of the triple homicide in the 1940s.